And we are live. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Let's wait for one more minute maybe for a few people to join in. Hacktoberfest, it was really awesome and we had a really awesome journey. We talked with lots of awesome people. We had on our first day we had Insa Ramin. On the second day, episode first, we had Muthu. We talked about the content creation, his technical writing journey, and how he writes his article in general. And on the third episode second, we had Uncle Bigway. We talked about his journey, content creation journey, and the stuff that he do. I mean, the stuff that he does in Hasnode, how he creates his documentation bit, and whole bunch of awesome stuff. And on day third, episode second, we had Kartik Rawat, which was yesterday. We talked a lot about. I mean, Dheeraj was the host, so we learned a lot about Hacktoberfest, open source contribution, Noncode contribution, and he said his insight about a bunch of stuff. So today we have Pradumna. So we will be learning a lot about his journey into open source, the stuff that he does, and what he is currently doing, and whole bunch of awesome stuff related to open source, non-code contribution, content creation, and lots of stuff. So yeah, let's wait for yeah. So
Thank
we
you so much for
can
the invite.
start now. I think people have started to join our session. Yeah. So yeah, Pradumna. So yeah, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm Pradumna. I'm from India. I am an open source advocate as well as an API and DevOps developer. Yeah, that's about me.
Okay, yeah. So Pradumna, he is an awesome open source enthusiast. He's an awesome advocate of open source. He did a lot. He did a mentorship in MLH, and he contributed lots of open source related stuff. And he is an student expert at Postman, and he's also an ambassador at AD So if you haven't heard about AD then you are probably living inside a rock. So AD is like a community for open source. So AD Hub is the founder of AD Hub is AD. He recently won a title for Top Teacher Award for GitHub Nova 2022. So it was an awesome stuff to hear about what open source can does to you. So the basic root of building an open source is by growing your community and having more people join into your open source project and learn more about that in general and learning together as in general. So yeah, so you are an
Absolutely.
awesome open source advocate. So as an open source advocate for beginner, how do you define open source and what is open source to you?
So, if we talk very general, open source is a publicly available software which you can modify and do a bunch of changes. And it's simply that it's publicly available for your modification, changes, and your improvement. This is a whole meaning of open source. And talking about why you should contribute to open source, some specific reason I would mention and which helped me a lot to get more real life experience, to connect with the community, connect with the like-minded people, and most important one of the thing is that connect with our industry leaders. For example, if you see Microsoft projects and if you see Twilio and some other projects, the people who are built are actually maintaining that project. You will learn a lot from them. Yeah.
Exactly. So building a, community, learning from community, and yeah. So yeah, how as a beginner. So let's say I'm a beginner. So how do you advise? What are the advices that you can give to me about starting my open source journey?
The two key elements of the open source is that one is version control system and second is hosting platform. Version control system means Git, and if we talk about some famous platform which is GitHub and GitLab, learn about this platform because if you want to contribute and understand the project structure, these are two building blocks about that. And once you get familiar, try to look for some signal level issues which we label as good first issues and try to solve them. And one of the best thing about open source is that you don't need to understand code. It can be non-code, it can be designer, it can be translation, it can be video, it can be image, anything. So start with, I always recommend people to start with non-code contribution. The specific reason to say that is that because you have too much going on, like forking, cloning, and committing. So you will focus more on the process rather than your code is not working or something like that. So go with non-code contribution. Then once you get familiar with two or three issues, you can move forward with some medium level code issues, then some higher medium, then higher, and as you move on, you can diversify your contribution. Yeah.
Awesome input. So for the beginners, so you advise start with non-code, then slowly,
Absolutely.
gradually improve towards first good first issue, and pick on medium level issue and play with it and explore the project and start contributing it. So yeah,
Yeah.
so what do you think the challenges that you faced while contributing to open source?
I think sometimes, yeah, there are some challenges with the contributing to course. I will specifically say that contributing to specific projects because the guidelines are not very too clear. So beginner find very challenging to contribute to that. I would say go for the projects which look easy and easy to contribute. If you find some difficulties, you can move on with other projects because there are tons and tons of projects. Apart from that, there is no difficulty in open source. If you talk about on the project side, yeah, some projects are hard to contribute because guidelines are not too clear. No, the project has no problem, but the contributing guidelines not too welcoming for the contributor or new contributor, I would specifically say. Yeah.
Contribute to the project which is good fit for you, which you are comfortable with working on, and you can select various open source project. I mean, you can hop into various project and learn from it. So yeah, that's the advice that you want to give, right?
Yeah, and one more advice I want to give that by seeing the project, it's very hard to contribute. If you really want to contribute, bring that project locally, test it for 4 to 5 days, and see what things you are. Because if you run any product, even Twitter, Facebook, you will find lots of bugs. Just bring the project locally, test out it for 4 to 5 days, and see where you can improve. If your tech stack and your knowledge align with that, and raise issue for them and then contribute, because it's by viewing the project UI from the front and seeing the project from the GitHub, it's very hard to contribute because you will find challenging where I should start. But once you get the project locally and understand it's working, it's far much more easy to move forward with the contribution.
That's an awesome. So familiarity with the project and contribute what you are familiar with, and yeah, that's an awesome input from you. So you have a really huge following in Twitter. So yeah, what are some of the tips that you can give to us for creating an engaging content on Twitter? So is there any tips,
Uh,
advice?
yeah. Uh, Firstly, I am not an expert, but the things which I follow and try to build, I think I pick very ground level issues because people talk too much high, so many people can't connect. I talk very simply, like how to add labels on your project or how to make a project more visible. Other than that, I think engaging with other people is one of the most important key to grow on social media because people will more likely to see your content if you connect with them. If you don't connect with them, no one will come on your content and engage with them. So connect with people. Try to do bunch of content, the different format of content like images, threads, and single tweets. But in all platforms, not only Twitter, try different things and the one of the key element is that show up daily. If you post one day and post after 5 or 6 days, it's hard. You have to be consistent and post daily. And I think post very simple stuff which more people can connect and more people can understand. That is the one of the key I follow and do.
Main points to remember is that to be consistent and try to post the content which which you can connect with others as well, and try to add some images, create some thread, and make it more engaging in general, right?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, and bring simple content, as simple as can possible. Because if you see Twitter in general or social media in general, uh, uh, more than 90% as people are starting out or have very low level of experience. So if you, it's true that if I post some Kubernetes stuff, high level Kubernetes stuff, it will get less engagement because less people can understand that. But if I post how to specifically contribute to this project or how to make project better, more people will likely to engage because they are going through that phase and they want to know about that.
Okay, exactly. So connect with, after building a basic amount of followers, uh, create a content that is engaging, and yeah, try to relate with others and try to post that kind of content instead of just bogus random stuff. So yeah, so we talked about non-code stuff. So do you think non-code contribution are essential part of the open source ecosystem? So is there an
Uh,
your side?
I will say in very simple a single line, non-code contribution are even more important than code contribution. The reason to say that, for example, in which platform we are currently sitting, if we just coded that and it's not very good UI or something documentation is not good, no one gonna come and see us. The reason people are seeing, they are seeing designing, they are seeing documentation and other things. So many people don't feel that non-code contribution is great, but I think that is the most important thing because code is very small part of the open source. If you see documentation, designing, even if the walkthrough videos we will make to the project, that also counts. And I think apart from the open source project, the social media thing, all the community things also count as from non-code side. Yeah.
Exactly. Non-code contribution is very important for advocating that particular project. I mean, non-code contribution includes a whole bunch of stuff. You can translate the document, you can update fix and typos of the documentation, you can advocate and create content out of that particular project, videos, podcasts, that also considered as an non-code contribution. And not only that, API references, docs, whole bunch of stuff you can do with non-code contribution. So yeah, that's an awesome input from your side. So let's jump back to Hacktoberfest. Yeah. So what is Hacktoberfest to you, and what advices that you can give for people who are beginner to Hacktoberfest and they are trying to jump in this Hacktoberfest trend? So what are the stuff? Yeah.
This is your voice is a little bit breaking, yeah, but I got the question. Yeah. So Hacktoberfest is a month-long, I would say, celebration for open source. The if we say the reason to start the Hacktoberfest is that we use free FOSS, which is free and open source software throughout the year and using for a long time. So specifically, it's giving back time, giving back to the FOSS. They started this whole Hacktoberfest to improve the project because FOSS totally runs on people's contribution, community contribution. And second most important thing about the Hacktoberfest is to bring more people into open source ecosystem, to promote open source literacy, and basically bring more people into open source ecosystem and bring more contribution to that. That's why I myself started my journey in Hacktoberfest. So lots of people get started with their open source journey in Hacktober because there's a good ambience in that. People are lots of maintainer to support it that time. Lots of project come with good incentive like swags and perks like internship and something like that. So it's a really good time to get started with open source this time.
Exactly. So Hacktoberfest, advocate. I mean, the main motive behind the Hacktoberfest is to give the visibility to open source, and yeah, to lure more people towards open source. Yeah, that's the Hacktoberfest. So Hacktoberfest with Aviyel, we are also. This is the event for Hacktoberfest with Aviyel. So we are also promoting more towards non-code bit contribution of open source project. So yeah, any advice that you can give to people who are starting their open source journey, in tech journey, and development journey? Any advice? Basic advice. Mhm.
One point I want to mention is that this year I really like the Hacktoberfest theme that they are highly focusing on the non-code contribution as well as content creators. If you build content like we are building this content, creating this video, this is also an Hacktoberfest contribution. Yeah, coming to the question, advice or in general guidance. Start with small, very small. You can you can just start with typo fixes and something like that because firstly you have to get familiar and get the whole open source vibe. And one of the things you can do from the day one, join some communities specific communities which are related to open, like this one, like EddyHub and other things, because you will find community projects as well as other people projects. So they will keep motivating and keep guiding you in your journey, and that is the one thing. And I would say joining community is the one of the best part of open source because I'm driving force of the open source. Yeah.
Exactly. So community plays a vital role in open source. I mean, building the open source software and projects as well. So yeah, it was a great conversation with you. But before we end it, we have few more questions. I mean, I have few questions related to your journey to EddyHub. So, what is your? I mean, what your day in life look like as an ambassador at EddyHub? So, what you do at EddyHub? So, can you give some bit insights about that?
It's not like any other ambassador program. It's very chill. The main what to say behind analogy and the vision behind the idea of ambassador program is that to promote more open source and build more content towards the open source because people I think people know people want to know more about open source and they don't find very good materials. So that is the one part of the idea of ambassador program, to bring more people to open source and literate about them. And it's very still, I would say. There is no specific task or monthly goal, something like that. Just advocate people, just literate people about open source. Yeah, that is the whole idea of ambassador program. It's not like any other ambassador program where you have task and something like to do. Yeah.
And what about the student leader expert at Postman? So, what you do at Postman?
So, yeah. So Postman is an what is the API testing platform which provides you some tools to test out API. So this leader program is specifically for people to promote literacy towards the API because API is very a key element of the whole what to say web, because even if you are using a website, app, anything, API is everywhere. So the Postman leader program is to promote literacy and organize some events where people can join in and connect with other people to know more about API, how good practices to build APIs, how to test APIs, something like that. It's basically to bring more people to the Postman, use Postman as well as bring more people to API world and literate about it. Yeah, that is the whole point of Postman leader program. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, you have, I mean, really good experience working. I mean, you are spreading like a branch. I mean, open source, advocating about open source, leading a student program at Postman. You have really good experience in content creation. Plus, your Twitter following is also really good. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. I mean, giving a bright limelight to this Hacktoberfest with Aviyel session and making this event even more brighter. Thank you for joining us to this session. So, is there any final word from you?
First of all, thank you so much for the invite, and it was really a pleasure talking to you. Yeah, and final words is that do open source and I would say join communities and connect with people. I think I have learned after joining the communities in 6 months, which I have not learned in 6 years. So because you see lots of people doing something and you get encouraged, don't feel demotivated. Take that encouragement to reach that level, because there is two things: either you get demotivated, either you get some motivation and do work on that thing. So join communities and talk with people, because you will find lots of like-minded people, and you don't never know which things you like and get moved towards that. For example, I never interested in building APIs, but I saw other people building APIs, so I got interested, and now I'm advocating about APIs even in Postman. So that is one of the great things about the communities. It haven't been possible if I haven't joined the community. Join communities to open source. That's about it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for making this event more brighter. So yeah, before we end this session, I would like to announce some stuff. So we gave you few of the topics to contribute on the first day of our event. So I hope few participants they started working, and we got a really huge amount of response, and it was a mind-boggling response. So thank you for contributing and giving some non-code contribution and making this Hacktoberfest with Aviyel even more brighter. So thank you everyone. So the final date for the submission is today at 12 a.m. But we are extending 24-hour more till October 8th. So you can submit it by the end of tomorrow. By tonight, October 8th. So yeah, if you want some, if you are just new to this session, if you have just joined to this session, then go to our Discord community, go to our Aviyel server, join our Hacktoberfest with Aviyel channel, and there is a bunch of list for you to work on. Pick one particular topic, start creating content, and if you stumble upon any topic, or if you are a newbie to create a content, you can check out our event that we hosted. You can check it out on our platform as well as on Aviyel's YouTube platform. Learn from that particular event on how to view an awesome content, and once you do that, pick one topic, create a content out of it. You can either create articles, you can either create videos, you can have a conversation between two folks, create a podcast kind of a thing, and start contributing us. So yeah, okay, but before we end this session, we have few questions on the Q&A session. Yeah. Okay, can you go to the public chat? And hey, so the maintainers are responsible for recording low code, no code contribution for this year's Hacktoberfest, right?
Yeah, so I want to clarify on that. So basically, if it's on the PR side, it will auto record it because it will count towards your Hacktoberfest. And if there is something specific related to which is content creation and non-code side, there should be a changelog file, and there should be a raised PR on repo with all the contribution having changelog, and it will mark as a open source contribution. And if your contribution included itself in repo, so don't have to worry because it's already counted as because if you will raise a PR for that, and it will automatically contribute count towards your Hacktoberfest contribution. And if you have something like that, for example, which is not specific to repo, but it's contribution, so change log thing, and you have to. If you have more doubt on that, you can go on Hacktoberfest website. They have pretty much clear guidelines on that.
Yeah, awesome. I'll drop the link of that Hacktoberfest link as well, so you can check it out. I hope there is no any questions left. So yeah. So yeah, thank you, Pradumna, for joining this session and making this Hacktoberfest with Aviyel even more brighter. And thank you everyone for tuning in. So yeah.
Thank you so much for.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there is one question. When will the articles? Yeah. Articles will be reviewed by tomorrow, and after the deadline. The deadline we extended it to October 8th. So we'll review it by October 9th and 10th, and you'll get to know about your status of your article. We'll keep you updated on our Discord channel. Join us on our Discord server. Go and check it out, our Hacktoberfest with Aviyel channel. And yeah, so any question if you have any left. Yeah, then we are at the end of the session. And so yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. This is the final session of week 1. So next week we are joined by Yuri and Harshvardhan Misra. So we will be talking about bunch of open source related stuff, content creation, technical writing, non-code contribution, and whole bunch of stuff. So stay tuned for next week. And week 3 and week 4, it's more like an project centric. So we are joined by Tapas. We are joined by Jan Sisma, creator and co-founder of Tallgy, and we are joined by Emil Pierce. He's working as in Devrel at Novu, and we have bunch of other projects lined up. Test Sigma, Novu, and Novu, Metacol, Test Sigma, and a whole bunch of awesome stuff, awesome projects. So stay tuned. Thank you for everyone. Thank you everyone for tuning in. So yeah, just like that, we are going to end this session. So bye bye Pradumna, bye bye everyone. See you next week, Monday, same time. Thank you.